Hi Aries, welcome to your mid-monthly September reading. So thank you for all your likes and subscriptions. If you want a private reading with me, the link is listed below. And yeah, so for your reading, I think you are probably starting to feel the effects of that Aries full moon coming up on the 25th of September. And you guys aren't really full moon people, you're more new moon people. You're more about the beginnings than the endings. You're more about the speed than the delays. You're more about the doing rather than the reflecting. And this full moon might make you feel a bit more emotional than usual, Aries, and you might start to have a few moments of self-realization whereby you've maybe been living too fast, or you've maybe been rushing something that wasn't to be rushed, or anything like that. The full moon is there to make you slow down and reflect on the year that you've had. And particularly the last 6 months since there was that new moon in your sign, how far you've come. Because sometimes if we're feeling frustrated with things, it's good to reflect just to see how much progress we've actually made. So hopefully that's turning out for you, Aries. 6 of Wands. Death card. The Ace of Cups. Judgment. Okay, this is scary. These are all the same cards as Gemini. The 5 of Swords. And underneath, the 10 of Cups. Do you know what's amazing, Aries? You have such similar cards to Gemini, yet in their positions, it makes them so very different. So that the story is different, yet so similar. So, what I said earlier about rushing things, it's really not in your favour to do so. With Judgment in the challenge position, Aries, a lot of this is to do with not forcing a decision that doesn't have to be made just yet. There is nothing in the skies to suggest that there is a decision that has to be made right now on impulse. A decision that could affect other people greatly, that could affect homes and families, I think, for some of you. The Death card in the hopes and fears position, I feel that maybe some of you are considering an end to something with the full moon. You know, I almost feel a little bit like a part of you is dying off. You've discovered something and you're shedding skin of some kind and beginning again. You realize that something that seems to have been a success by your definition was quite possibly a shallow victory. Maybe you really, really, really wanted something and you got it, and now you're realizing that there wasn't any clear winners. Or maybe you're thinking of a victory. Maybe you're thinking of a person or a job that's just so important that you would sacrifice everything for it. And yet that may not be the best option to take. Well, it may not be the best decision to rush. The 5 of Swords as the outcome is always a card to me that calls on you to act in a way that is fair. You know, to make sure that whatever it is that you're deciding that you want to do, it's something that can help rather than hinder your relationships with others. It's interesting actually to see the 10 of Cups underneath. I'm going to draw 2 more cards from the deck. The Queen of Pentacles and the 9 of Wands. So some of you are dealing with earth sign people. Some of you are maybe dealing with a Taurus, a Virgo, or a Capricorn. Maybe you're fighting for this person. Maybe you really want to be with this earth sign person. Now, it could be moon or rising, and you're not giving up on them, but you feel like you're not getting anywhere at the same time. Maybe you're worried about someone or wanting someone that's not quite yours, and you're deliberately preventing new opportunities. You know, it's funny, Aries, I think for the last few months there's always seems to have been this sort of Scorpio dance with you guys, because I see Judgment and Death in the Ace of Cups and I sort of think Scorpio person, and I'm sort of drawn to the idea of old and new. Judgment in the challenge position, maybe you made a decision too quick. And the Ace of Cups, maybe now you get a new chance. Maybe there's a beginning within a beginning. And what I mean by that sounds very confusing. But with someone you are with, maybe the idea is to begin again without ending so much, without making a drastic change. Because judgment in the challenge position means that drastic change is not to be acted upon right now. I do think with death here and the hopes of fears, you're maybe very scared of losing someone, and it maybe panics you into making a snap decision or a snap impulse. Maybe things are tough where you are and something tempting comes in and you wonder if you should take that or you should stick with what you have. Now the 10 of Cups underneath it's a positive card always. It is emotional happiness, but it can also be the ending of something, as it is a 10. It can be when things come to fruition, but then they need to be, when you pick the crops from the trees or the ground, or, well, I'm not great at fruit and vegetable analogy, but you know what I mean. Whenever the harvest is done, it doesn't mean that that's it. You have to begin again and you have to start for next year. You have to make plans for the future. You can't just leave something on a snap decision. So I feel like somebody maybe left in a snap decision. Maybe you did, maybe somebody else did. And you're wondering if this is worth fighting for. My suggestion is that it is. If it's an earth sign, I think there could be a need to see things through. I think if it's a water sign, fears may get in the way and you may have to try quite hard with this person. You might be dealing with someone who's really very guarded. You might be dealing with someone who tries to rationalize everything, someone who isn't very emotionally spoken, but they're quite emotional on the inside. You may feel a little bit like love is a battlefield. I think a lot of you are maybe fighting with your partners, and the interesting thing is that there's healing, but there's a possibility of jumping to conclusions or making snap decisions. It's an interesting spread, Aries, I must say. It's very unusual. The 5 of Swords is the outcome to me is it's very much where you make a snap decision or you choose to fight a battle where nobody can win. And Judgment in the challenge position means that this outcome will most likely come from making a major decision without consulting the person that you're with. So possibly, calling an end to something in a fight and then not meaning it, but the other person takes it that way. And then you're in a position of mistrust. I feel there could be a mistrust between you and somebody else, Aries. It's an interesting spread, I must say. There seems to be so much hope, though, with the Ace of Cups there. Like, there seems to be an opportunity for something brand new and wonderful. And with the 10 of Cups, I feel like it's with, for a lot of you that are with a person where there seems to be conflict, I do feel like there's hope. If you're dealing with somebody new, I do feel like they could be quite defensive and you might be jumping to conclusions. That's one thing that I'm reading very, 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 very specifically here, Aries. You may jump to conclusions under this full moon in your sign. You may be feeling openly emotional about this person. But this could be a good fit, make sure you pick your battles. Make sure you don't overreact to what you can't see. Because what you might sense with this full moon is not necessarily what is so. It might just be a very frustrating and aggressive energy that is a build-up of the last 6 months rather than a build-up of truth, It's not necessarily what it may seem to be, and it's not the time to start a war. And I'm not sure if it was your reading actually last month, because there is a Scorpio thing here. I almost feel like if you are picking a battle, be very careful about picking it with a Scorpio. They're very into retaliation. Because whatever battle you might be picking, Aries, I don't think, even if it's with an earth sign or whatever, I don't know if this is something you can win, because I feel like there's no winners if you choose to make a snap judgment. And that's just me being honest. I have to read what I see. This, of course, may not resonate with you. You can check out your moon and rising sign. But I worry about you making a snap decision, Aries. Now, this doesn't mean this will happen. It's just guidance. If you have made a snap decision already and you're worried about losing somebody, the Nine of Wands asks you not to give up. But I do feel like you might feel a lot of pressure under the full moon in your sign. So I think you should pause and reflect and remember not to jump to conclusions. Now I'm going to do a guidance card. Diana, focused intention. Bast, independent. And Kuan Yin, compassion. Now that did come up with Gemini too, but it came up in relation to the judgment cards. Release judgment about yourself and others and focus on the love and light that is within everyone. So that is exactly what I was saying, Aries. Do not jump to conclusion. Keep focused on your targets and your goals. And be independent in your decisions. I think provided you don't jump to conclusions this month, the remainder of this month, Aries, you're going to have a much different time than if you do. Just be wary of it because it doesn't need to result in this Five of Swords if it doesn't have to. So I hope you enjoyed that reading, Aries, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.